The chant is, "We want Caleb," as in Caleb Williams.
Like a friendship relationship with Caleb, or it's just kind of, just kind of curious.
Sunday's game between the Saints and the Bears is a big one, not only just because of a win and a loss, but because there's a lot of storylines here. Saints second-year quarterback Spencer Rattler is going to be playing the guy who replaced him at Oklahoma, and Caleb Williams, who was his backup there before Oklahoma fans and students started chanting that they wanted Caleb Williams, which led Rattler to leaving and transferring to South Carolina. We have the Dennis Allen revenge game versus the Saints, or the Saints revenge game against Dennis Allen. That's how I view it, but say whatever you want. Kellen Moore, first-time head coach, versus Ben Johnson, first-time head coach. One guy was at the top of the list of the guy everybody wanted, while the other guy was the guy who was hired last, and that was Kellen Moore for the New Orleans Saints. There's a lot of storylines in this game between the Saints and the Chicago Bears. And we also have some big updates regarding the injuries for both sides going into Sunday's game. And we'll be looking at all of these in today's video. I'm Cash. You should take 5 seconds to like the video, subscribe, help support the channel. We're trying to get to 15,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We're at like 14.6, I believe, at the moment. So let's get this up. Let's get this thing going. And with all that being said, let's dive into this massive game between the Saints and the Bears. Sunday's game between Spencer Rattler and Caleb Williams, the starting quarterbacks for each team, is one of the biggest storylines regarding this game in general. One of the biggest storylines, in my opinion, of the NFL Week 7 matchups. I posted this on Instagram. The graphics fire, by the way. But we got Rattler and Caleb Williams, and it's a revenge game for Spencer Rattler. Now, in case you didn't know, they were teammates at Oklahoma. Rattler was the starting quarterback, and I think Lincoln Riley recruited Caleb Williams. Rattler started the season off, I think it was 2021, as the team's starting quarterback, and then eventually got benched, and Caleb Williams took over as the starting quarterback. But in case you didn't know, I can't remember exactly who they were playing. I think it was like Virginia or something. Spencer Rattler was starting at quarterback, threw a pick, and some of the fans and students started chanting that they wanted Caleb Williams.
Take a listen.
Obviously, for Spencer Rattler, that was probably a very tough moment for him, and probably something that he doesn't like thinking about when he looks back at his college career and just his football career in general, dating back to high school and college, and that forced him to transfer to become a South Carolina Gamecock. Spencer Rattler was asked if he had like a friendship or relationship with Caleb Williams. I mean, absolutely not. The guy took his job, and it wasn't like in a typical, oh, you're just gonna be like, it was a loud moment. It was like a loud moment that Spencer Rattler is getting benched. The fans are chanting to start Caleb. Like, it wasn't like the Saints starting Rattler over Jake Haener. Like, it was kind of a quiet thing. Like, this felt like a hostile benching and a hostile situation, and this is what Rattler had to say when he was asked if he had a relationship with Caleb Williams.
Like a friendship relationship with Caleb, or it's just kind of.
Look at him, dude. He's probably pissed about this question. No way he'd just be friends with the guy who took his job.
A friendship relationship with Caleb, or it's just kind of, just kind of curious.
Cordial, you know. I'll say what's up to him at the game, but I got respect for him. Good player.
Yeah, no way that they're friends, especially given how that situation went down, and then Caleb eventually transferred as well. But yeah, they're a cordial relationship. Caleb Williams also talked about the situation as well, and basically confirmed that him and Spencer Rattler don't really talk. What a surprise. The guy who took his job in that kind of hostile, aggressive way, it's not really Caleb Williams' fault. He obviously wanted to play, but the way that thing just went down, like, I don't know if I would be able to have a relationship or be friends with someone who took my job in that way.
No, we don't. We haven't really spoke much. It's not. I mean, I don't really speak to Baker and all those other guys that much, anyways. I know Spence was with me, so yeah, we don't really keep up that much. But excited for the matchup. I know he's excited, and we're gonna go out there and have a blast.
Now, this game for Spencer Rattler is going to be a tough one because, well, they're going up against the Saints' former head coach. I shall not say his name, but he's now the Bears' defensive coordinator, and as we all know, he could be a very good defensive coordinator. And looking at just some of the defensive numbers the Bears are putting up, why don't we look at some of the numbers that Bears defense is putting up in terms of yards allowed per game. They're at the top, almost allowing 400 yards a game, 370 yards per game. I think they allow like the most yards per play or something like that. They've allowed 1,065 passing yards, which is actually one of the best in the NFL. They also had a bye week, so some of these numbers may look better than they actually are, or worse than they actually are because of that bye week. 213 passing yards per game, that's about what Rattler's been doing. In terms of rushing defense, though, the Bears have allowed almost 800 rushing yards, which is one of the worst in the NFL, and they had a bye week. So this might be a game where the Saints can run the football, and if you're going to be throwing the football, one, as we just saw, the Bears have a good pass defense. But on top of that, that former head coach of the Saints and the Bears defensive coordinator, he's going to throw everything he has to make sure Spencer Rattler turns the ball over and makes mistakes, and to make sure he gets this win, to make a point that, hey, he shouldn't have been fired, which he 100% absolutely should have been fired. And how hilarious is it that Clint Kubiak, the guy who he hired, is like killing it in Seattle right now, and maybe the Saints really were just depleted with injuries, or the guy who he wanted to hire and Liam Cohen is killing it and has been killing it. But yeah, he had to go, and he's obviously going to want to try and get this win on his former team. And for us Saints fans, I would much rather lose the rest of the season if it meant to win this one. I do not want to lose to that loser of a coach. And I want to get a win for Kellen. It's not like the Saints are a bad team and can't win. I think they're a good bad team. They've been in almost every game this season outside of that Seattle game. One score games, basically. The Saints have been literally a few plays away from winning every single game. So I think it's going to be a good game between the two. The Bears defense, in terms of points allowed this season, are kind of in the middle. They've allowed 141 points, averaging 30 points per game. That's not necessarily great. There they are at the top, but again, bye week, some of these numbers are fluctuated. But turnovers, this is where it becomes dangerous. The Saints haven't really turned the ball over, or at least Spencer Rattler has not really turned the ball over this season. Only one interception. He's had a few called back, got a few lucky drops. Like he has one pick, but I don't necessarily think that tells the whole story. But takeaways, the Bears are second in the NFL in takeaways with 12. They have 8 interceptions, which is second best in the NFL, and they have 4 forced fumbles. Saints have had some issues with fumbles. Juwan Johnson, who they paid $30 million. In terms of giveaways for the Chicago Bears, whether or not like they're giving the ball away, they're actually tied with the Saints with 4 giveaways, so they're not turning the ball over offensively either. And I mean, I don't really expect the Saints defense to create any turnovers because that defense is atrocious. But looking at the Bears offense, now that they're with Ben Johnson, they're kind of on a roll. They looked good against Commanders Monday Night Football. They're running the ball pretty well. Their season numbers so far, in terms of offensive and passing yards, the Bears are kind of towards the bottom end of the league with 1,100 passing yards. But again, bye week, missed a game. That's probably an inaccurate number. In terms of passing yards per game, 227. That's actually one of the better numbers, and Caleb Williams is starting to get into momentum. He has 11 total touchdowns on the season. He's looking pretty good. It looks like Ben Johnson has him playing some good football. In terms of rushing yards, the Bears not so great, 554 rushing yards. So right there with the Patriots. The Patriots couldn't really run the football on the Saints, but again, bye week, they're actually averaging 110 rushing yards per game, which is actually pretty solid in my opinion, just above the Saints. And it doesn't feel like the Saints run the ball very well. So the Saints will have to stop the run. DeAndre Swift killed it on Monday Night Football. But then the Bears' weapons, you look at their weapons, they got DJ Moore who's going to be playing. They got DeAndre Swift, Rome Odunze, and then the rookie they drafted, Luther Burden. Like, they got a good amount of weapons. The Bears' offensive line is pretty solid. Joe Thuney, they've revamped that entire thing. In terms of points the Bears have scored this season, where are they at? Here they are, right here at 126 total points, averaging about 25 points per game, while the Saints are averaging, I think, 18 towards the bottom. Yeah, 18 points per game, so about 1 touchdown. It's going to be a difficult game, especially with the Bears defensive coordinator trying to make a point to the Saints and Saints fans and his former players. It's going to be difficult because the Saints haven't only really been able to throw the football this season to move the ball, and the Bears have one of the better pass defenses and best defenses in terms of taking the ball away. There's going to be a lot of different looks thrown that direction. It's not going to be an easy game to win, but it is winnable, and I want to see the Saints get a win. We did get some pretty big news regarding the injury front for both sides, really. So this is the injury report for Sunday's game. Only 2 guys are questionable for the Saints, and that's Isaac Yiadom, who I'm 100% okay if he doesn't play. And if he does play, it sounds like Quincy Riley is still going to be playing to some degree, so that's good. Don't let Yiadom lose you a 4th round comp pick. And Ridgeway's on IR, but he could be coming back. This is the first time in like a while the Saints had every single player on their active roster out there at practice. When's the last time the hell that happened? The Saints do have guys on IR and stuff like that, but the Saints have been relatively normally healthy, dealing with a normal-ish amount of injuries so far. No one's ruled out. Alvin Kamara keeping maintenance on that ankle injury, but he's going to play. Olave and Alante are going to play. That's obviously significant. Olave with all the trade rumors and stuff like that. Want to see him have a bounce-back game after last week. I think he scores this week. For the Bears, Grady Jarrett's being questionable could be pretty huge. He could really wreck a game for like Cesar Ruiz and Trevor Penning. Swift sounds like he's going to play. DJ Moore playing is significant because the Saints secondary is chopped and they're probably going to get cooked. In terms of DeAndre Swift, we do have an update right here. Swift said he's going to play. The groin injury is just like management and stuff like that. Maintenance, not trying to do too much before a game. So this game between the Saints and the Bears is going to be a big one. There's a lot of storylines going on. Obviously, the Saints and Kellen Moore and Rattler are trying to win the game. The Bears have won 3 in a row, and they're trying to stay on that track. But really, to me, the storylines is Spencer Rattler getting his revenge on Caleb Williams. So I wouldn't even know if it's revenge, but this win would definitely feel good to him. The Saints going up against their former defensive coordinator, 2 first-time head coaches. One guy was the first guy hired in the top of the list that everybody wanted, and the other guy was the last guy hired, and I don't necessarily think any other teams interviewed him. There's a lot of storylines in this game, and I'm excited for it. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Make sure to like the video and subscribe. Help support the channel. I'm Kaj, and I'll catch you next time. Have a good one. And let me know your predictions down in the comments. Saints or Bears, who you got?